herb in my brain. So bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain and break up all the circles and the chains. I need some meditation in my brain. So bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain. Break up all the circles and the chain. Hey, no, this could never be no man killer. Good for my head, so me call it as the man healer. When me ill, you know me never need a painkiller. It's quite exciting, me call it as the man chiller. Give me good man, so me no think iller. What a inspiration, fit on a sound killer. For the pagan, me spark it like a 9 miller. Fi fight the liquor and the coke, ganja and the pillar. That's why me need some herb in my brain.
For the first time, President Biden and the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, hosted a Juneteenth concert on the South Lawn of the White House. First time the White House has done this. The celebration of community, culture, and music was a joyous, star-studded occasion. The evening started with Vice President Kamala Harris introducing 96-year-old activist Opal Lee, who's known as the grandmother of Juneteenth.
If people can be taught to hate, they can be taught to love. And it's up to you to do it.
Then it was time for the show. Big stars like Jennifer Hudson, Method Man performed along with some local artists. The concert choir from my alma mater, Hampton University. Look at them. They're looking great. They're accompanying Lettucey last night. The audience heard from all parts of the culture from Broadway, I should say, to the church.
Imagine how we would have gotten even this far without the black church. No, I'm not joking.
He was not joking at all. It was a magical night as well. Perfect way to begin this weekend's Juneteenth celebrations. And I was going to add, I was just looking it up, excuse me. I know Morgan State was also there too, because we said local. But whenever Hampton's involved, you're going to get the shout out.
You're going to get
Pirates.
the HU Pirates.
You're going to get it. So, but Morgan State was also there. The Fisk Jubilee Singers were also there. So just so many. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, I love that.
If you missed it, I would urge you to go and try to check out some of the stream from last night. So
I know you're very proud.
I am. I'm proud to be in that company.
Absolutely.
I'm very proud to be in that company.
I love it.
Yeah.
Keep on smiling.
Keep on smiling. Keep on smiling. Smile, even though inside you're aching, smile. Smile, even though your heart is aching, smile. Smile, it will make you better. Pray, it will make you stronger. Enjoy your life to the full, I say, baby. Be kind, but don't let people abuse you. Trust, but don't let them deceive you, baby. Oh yeah. Be content, but never stop improving yourself. I say just smile, even though inside you're aching. Smile, smile, even though your heart is breaking. Smile, oh yeah. No one can block the blessing that I have for you. Oh. No one can stop the blessing that I have for you. I say, keep on smiling. It will make you stronger. Pray, my baby. It will make you stronger. I say, smile, even though inside you're aching. Smile, even though your heart is breaking. Smile, smile, smile.
Welcome again, brothers and sisters and cousins in the other races that support our struggle for economic equality with the other races. This segment is about reparations, and the main thing is that, or the most recent development is that the United States of America in one city or I should say a number of cities, are in the process of either paying reparations or starting to make plans, concrete plans and laws, legislation for reparations to African Americans in particular. We see that we have done a number of episodes about reparations in various cities, 11 cities to be exact, in the United States, and most recently on June 19th of June, there was a special program on PBS, Public Broadcasting Service, TV news, about reparations in Evanston near Chicago, and they interviewed people. The segment shows the video, which I will also show later in this segment, shows interviews with people in Evanston, some of whom have already gotten reparations, because it's about 2 years that city started, they passed the law and started making plans to pay reparations to African Americans who qualify for the reparations.
In 2019, Evanston, Illinois passed the first reparations law in American history. It set out to address decades of segregation and legalized housing discrimination. Economics correspondent Paul Solman recently visited the Chicago suburb to follow up on the progress of the program. It's part of our ongoing series, Race Matters.
Evanston Hospital wouldn't accept black mothers, so my father had to drive me to Cook County Hospital to be born. But as a baby, I came back to the house. My father bought the house in 1930.
88-year-old Lou Weathers' house in Evanston, Illinois, home to a long-standing black community which comprises some 16% of the city's 75,000 inhabitants, some of whom, like Donna Walker, are still bitter about the past.
I am truly waiting for 40 acres and a mule. A jackass will be fine for me, but just give me some acreage and I'll be okay.
Evanston isn't offering the acreage, but given the persistent and huge wealth and health gaps ever since slavery, it is trying to make amends with a first-of-its-kind reparations project that's spreading.
We had an official side event at the United Nations last week sharing the motto, the growth, that it was Evanston in 2019, and today there are over 100 localities that have taken a first step towards reparations for their community.
Former City Councilor Robin Rue Simmons spearheaded reparations here in 2019. $10 million to be spent over 10 years, funded by taxes on newly legalized cannabis sales and by real estate transfers. So far, 16 recipients, $25,000 each.
The main point I want to make, so they agreed to pay $25,000 to each person who qualifies, and they can get it in cash. And I just want to say, that's the main thing. The main thing I want to say is that I am almost totally against cash payment to African Americans, black people, either in the United States or in Jamaica, in the Caribbean or wherever, because the main thing is that you give a man a fish, he will have something to eat for a day or a meal. You give him a fishing net or a fishing line, and he will have fish, be able to catch fish for days to come, and teach the younger ones and next generation how to catch fish and so on. Of course, I am just using that as an example, as you're aware of the need for reparations to be paid for business investment, to start a business or to grow a business, or some kind of investment that will provide long-term benefits, including, or for example, buying a house, making the payment on a house, buying the down payment on the house, and whatever arrangements over a period of time to help the individual or family to pay for that house, not consumption, not money in our hands, because the other races will get it back in a short period of time. We will consume it, buy stuff. The current thing, as we see, is that it seems like most black people all over the world are buying these braids and wigs, which are primarily made by the other races and sold by the other races. Millions, if not billions of dollars going back to them in China or the Philippines or in the countries where they sell these things, because most of the place that sells these things are owned by the other races. So I would say no cash payment, except in a few cases, and that's the exception. Maybe people are very poor, but only a small percentage to help them, but mainly payments for helping the family to start a business, or to helping a group to form a cooperative in their community, or a company. Cooperative, some people are against cooperatives, but companies, and for them to unite, get together, work together for long-term economic benefits, not just consumption items to go buy stuff, because the mentality, worker mentality, we are basically workers and consumers. So no cash reparations, except a small amount to help people who are at the very bottom. We do not invest, and our priority is to get a job, and not to many of us, or most of us, who even are in a position to do a little investment or start a business or something. We do not, because that's not our priority. So I will show you segments of videos and other material about the latest situation with reparations, especially in the US, including the big one that's California, just this month, a few days ago. This is what, June? Yes, in June they passed a law. No, California. The final report on reparations is in the next video. I will go into more details about that.
Hi there, this is good and interested news, because for some time African countries have been complaining about fences exploitation. Finally, the French president has admitted and apologized.
Dear distinguished delegates, I stand before you today, April 30th, 2023, as the President of the French Republic, to express my deepest apologies to the African nations and peoples who were affected by France's colonial past. We recognize the harm and damage caused by our actions and we are committed to making amends for the wrongs committed during that period.
Well then, I grade. Me need ya, hey. I need some herb in my brain, so bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain and break up all the circles and the chains. I need some meditation in my brain, so bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain. Break up all the circles and the chain. Hey, no, this could never be no man killer. Good for my head, so me call it as the man healer. When me ill, you know me never need a painkiller. It's quite exciting, me call it as the man chiller. Give me good man, so me not think illa. What a inspiration, fit on a sound killer. Feed the pagan, me spark it like a 9 miller. Fi fight the liquor and the coke, ganja and the pillar. That's why me need some herb in my brain, so bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain.
Hi, my name is Festus Njogu and this is Agriculture Money. Please subscribe to this channel and join us on a mission to unlock the great potential of agriculture in our African continent. This episode is a response to some of your questions in our earlier videos. We will look at what you need to get started, pig breeds available in East Africa, and also the process of preparing a deep litter pig house. First, we look at what you need to get started with pig farming using the deep litter system, which is also known as the fermented bed technology or the living bed technology. This system uses beneficial microorganisms that feed on the pig waste, creating rich living compost that improves your soils. These microorganisms actively break down all pig waste, significantly decreasing bad smell and fly populations. Heat generated during the breakdown process helps pigs stay warm even during cold weather. This technology is affordable, climate smart, environmentally friendly, and produces high-quality pork. If you are interested in the pig production business, there are 4 main pig production enterprises that you may choose from. The first one is farrow to finish operations, where the farmer keeps a sow herd and produces his own growers for a finishing operation which he owns. The second enterprise is farrow only, where the farmer keeps a sow herd, producing winners which he sells to other farmers. The third enterprise is finishing operation, where the farmer buys piglets either as winners or growers and fattens them for the pork market. The fourth enterprise is breeding. This entails production of breeding stock and is a very specialized enterprise reserved only for the experienced pig breeders and requires heavy capital investment. Your choice of enterprise will be guided by your motivation, the resources available, and markets. The main materials needed to start the piggery are appropriate housing structure to provide shelter, good quality pigs with proven fertility history, adequate feed resources, equipment, and a reliable clean water supply. Let us now look at some of the pig breeds available in East Africa. The large white or the Yorkshire breed. These are white in color with erect ears. They have good mothering ability, produce many litters, are fast growing and fairly hardy. Males grow to a weight of between 310 to 400 kilos, while females grow to between 250 to 330 kilograms. The Landrace breed. These are also white in color. They have lopped ears, fast growth rate, and high quality carcass. Males grow to a weight of between 310 to 400 kilos, while females grow to between 250 to 330 kilograms. The Duroc breed. These are dark brown in color, have a fast growth rate, and good mothering ability. They are tolerant to stress and adaptable to various environmental conditions. Males grow to about 300 kilos, while females grow to about 250 kilos. The Hampshire breed. These are black with good carcass quality and high meat yield. Males grow to about 300 kilos, while females grow to about 250 kilos.
All of us gathered here should never forget the famous admonition of the iconic Jamaican reggae star Peter Tosh, when he said, and I quote, "Don't care where you come from. As long as you're a black man, you're an African."
President of the Republic of Ghana.
You may have heard of Afrika Day, but do you know the history and significance behind this annual celebration? Observed on May 25th, Afrika Day pays tribute to the founding of the Organization of African Unity in 1963, now known as the African Union. This special day highlights a commitment to fostering unity, solidarity, and development through the African continent. It's a time to rejoice in Africa's rich cultural heritage and history. With breathtaking landscapes, modern cities, diverse wildlife, historic landmarks, vibrant markets, and architectural achievements, Africa is a mosaic of people and places. Africa is also the second most populated continent in the world. Its natural, cultural, spiritual, ethnic, and linguistic diversity showcases both its fascinating past and its promise for the future. Annual celebrations of Afrika Day around the world may include music concerts, dance performance, art exhibitions, and cultural festivals, allowing each African nation to proudly share its traditions and cultures. The day also honors influential African leaders and visionaries who have shaped human history and who have fought for peace, democracy, and development.
So bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain and break up all the circles and the chains. So bring the medication for my brain to heal the whole of the nation from the pain. Break up all the circles and the chain. Hey, no, this could never be no man killer. Good for my head, so me call it as the man killer. When me ill, you know me never need a painkiller. It's quite exciting, me call it as the man chiller. Give me good man, so me not think illa. What a inspiration, fit on a sound killer.
This segment is about the recent uprising of African leaders in a number of countries, and particularly the recent leading role that President Ruto has been playing in the fight, in the struggle for economic liberation of African countries and African people, and his role also in leading the way, leading the steps, leading the fight for African unity and for the unity of the African people in Africa and in the diaspora. And this president is not only talking but doing concrete things. And in this segment, we show slides to indicate what he has been doing and has been saying in terms of changing regulations for entry into Kenya of Africans and diasporans, Africans from any African country who have already signed up to the African Continental Free Trade Area. They can go to work in Kenya, and I am not sure if they can live live there. I guess there's a process, but to go, you don't need any visa, as long as you're an African from Africa or from one of the diasporan countries. And he has been involved in some leadership. He has moved to the front of this fight in a number of issues having to do with financing, the World Bank, the IMF, and so you will see this. I'm showing the slides, and later you will see a clip where he says that he's not concerned about having a second term as president of Kenya. His main thing is to do what he's doing in terms of building African unity and Pan-Africanism. I just want to say that he's not alone. We know and we have seen other presidents like President Kagame in Rwanda and President Nana Akufo in Ghana, and others, but and also outside of Africa, Prime Minister Motley from Barbados. They have been very active, and in Zimbabwe. I am just mentioning some. A number of them have been working together and doing things, not just talking, but doing things to bring about the speedy unity of Africa and African people in Africa and outside of Africa. Okay.
Many people tell me, oh, you should think about your second term. My second term will be meaningless if my first term achieves nothing. You know, I am not here so that I can have a second term. I am here because I want to make a difference. Kenyans have given me an opportunity to make a difference in their lives, to make sure that we remove slums, to make sure we create jobs for our young people, to make sure that we improve on our manufacturing. I am focused on that. Second term will sort itself out.
In addition to telling the colonial neo-colonial leaders face to face in his recent meeting. I don't know if it is in France, but I know the president of France was there, and he told him face to face about the exploitation, the financial control and exploitation by the IMF and the World Bank of Africa and African people in particular. Also, the Secretary of the U.S. Central Bank, she was there, and others, face to face. He told them, he was not the only one, but he was the main one, telling them face to face that he wants to. He's actively involved in the formation of a new organization. Also, his attendance at the global, he was invited and attended the global festival held in France at that time, and a few months ago, I'm not sure exactly what month, and the previous, last year it was held in Ghana, but he attended that one and made a speech at that Global Citizens Festival. And the Global Citizens, for people who don't know, their main goal is to end poverty, destitution, absolute abject poverty in countries all over the world. And the Black Economic Network, we have some videos, previous videos that we showed, and we are also a member of the Global Citizens Network. Okay, bye.
So we're in a world that's really tough. The private sector is not going to solve this problem. I'm sorry to say to all of the private sector leaders, behave, pay your taxes, follow the rules. That's what you should do. And what the governments should do is the following. They won't, but they should. First, the G20 should become the G21 by inviting systemically the chairperson of the African Union and the African Union to be the 21st country. The European Union is a member of the G20 as the EU. If you add the AU as the 21st for the G21, you add 1.4 billion people to representation at that crucial event. That will change decisively the discussion, because 1.4 billion people are not at the table for finance right now, and they need to be. So my first recommendation is the G21. I love the G20. Add one seat, 1.4 billion people with the AU represented. Second, we need an order of magnitude change of development finance. The rich countries just borrowed $17 trillion for COVID. The poor countries, nothing. Because the rich countries can borrow at zero, and the poor countries pay 5 or 10% coupon rates, or have no access at all. So the world exposed its grotesque inequality this past year and a half. Rich countries didn't say, we tighten our belts, why don't you? My country spent $7 trillion of emergency funding, not one penny for anybody else, by the way. $7 trillion, it didn't even cross the imagination of the US Congress to include a few crumbs for the rest of the world. But the poor countries cannot borrow. That's what we should have heard from the World Bank. I didn't hear that from the World Bank. I didn't hear real numbers. Real numbers are in trillions right now because the world economy is 100 trillion a year. But we don't talk about real numbers. But my job, all I know in this world is long division. Divide by 100 trillion and then see whether you're talking about something real or not. By the way, for COVID vaccines, what we really need is for the United States to sit down with China, with Russia, with the European Union and the UK one day around the table and allocate these vaccines rather than hoarding them. That's all it would take. The final thing is we need the UN as the core and central institution of this world, period. Because this is the only way we're going to have a civilized world is a strong UN. And it cannot be that the whole UN budget is less than my neighborhood's budget in New York. The UN core budget this year is $3 billion. New York City's budget is $100 billion. And then we say, why don't things work well? Because the rich are hoarding everything. Final point, rather than our 3 billionaires going in space, well, they could go into space and stay there and leave their money behind. That would be one idea. But another idea is we have 2,775 billionaires on the current list. Their combined net worth, 2,700, is $13.1 trillion. Now, I have it on good authority, you don't need more than $1 billion to be comfortable. But they have an excess of $11 trillion over just the $1 billion. So we should be taxing that and having a civilized world. Thank you.
Jeffrey Sachs. This was Jeffrey Sachs setting the tone.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity.
Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your contacts. Thank you.